Welcome to TT Boy TV. Today our special guest is a very important person. Some might say a star Wrangler. Some might say the backbone of Vivid Video. Some might say the ultimate babysitter. So please welcome, and thank you so much for coming, Marci Hirsch. Hey.
Hello. Hi. Hi, and thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. It's so great to see you.
And you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been like a month.
But before that, it was a really long time.
Really, a few years.
Right.
And then before that, it was way longer, like 5, 6 years, 7 years.
And before that, it was like every week. So.
Yeah. Oh, before that was way
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Boy, our times have changed.
Yeah. How have you been?
Good. Things are good. You know, working on some new stuff, some new businesses, and trying to stay relevant, just like everybody else.
That's a crazy terminology. We never heard that terminology before, did we?
Nope.
Stay relevant.
And yet, it's without it being relevant, you may as well just
Die?
pack it in. Not die, but you know, I mean, look, when we used to do, you know, when we used to put out some of the celebrity sex tapes, we always said you have to stay relevant, because so people continue to know who you are, and then they want to, you know, go back and look at your video. But
Yeah.
but if you suddenly are out of the public eye, nobody has interest anymore.
Yeah,
They're on
see-
to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's trippy. People forget today way faster than they used to.
Because there are no really big stars today. It's everybody is a performer, but everybody's a star. There's no superstars like there used to be.
Right.
So everybody kind of melds together and blends in, and you have to find a way to stand out and to stay relevant.
Yeah.
It's a bad word.
That's kind of scary, because it kind of means like if you're not doing something and somebody knows you're doing something, then you might just, you're forgotten.
That's because there's, you know, 20 other performers behind you. So you can either figure out a way to stand out and make people remember you, or you just go the way of the rest of them. You're either a star or a B player. Those are like your two options.
So, you know, I don't know if everybody knows, but Marci Hirsch is the sister of Steve Hirsch, which is Vivid Video. So Vivid Video is a giant, successful, beautiful company, adult video company that was around for probably, how many years?
35.
35 years. So anyways, so Marci has, or is, the gatekeeper of all the beautiful, wild stories of the female superstars. I mean, we're talking all the superstars. She is connected to all of them.
That's when there were superstars.
Yeah, when they were. But I mean, you know, all the fun,
I know some stuff.
happy details of so many.
I know some stuff.
But, so how long has it been now that you're not with Vivid, or?
So about 18 months ago, the owners decided to license out the day-to-day operations to another company. And in Canada, the company's in Canada, so there was really no work for anybody anymore. So I haven't worked there for 18 months. But I had worked there for 26 years.
26 years.
So it was culture shock.
Wow. It is, it must be kind of weird after all that time, not going home anymore. I mean, it's kind of like home.
Yeah, it's and you know, a lot of the people, we had very little turnover, so a lot of the people had been there for years and years. So you know, it was like you'd go to work and it was sort of family-ish, and then they were gone.
But I mean, it really is family, because it's your brother.
Well, him I still see. Yep. Him I still see a few people from there.
I'm guessing with all that drama, you know, from the girls and stuff not showing, everybody knows they don't show, and that this and that happens. your personality, you must have developed into a personality that can just withstand monster punches and just shake them off.
You learn how to not take anything personally. That's the first thing. And how to help adults that maybe don't help themselves.
Oh yeah, for sure, right?
They didn't call me Vivid Mom for nothing. I was everybody's mother because they didn't have, most of the time they didn't have parents that they could go to and talk about anything with, so I became the mother.
Yeah, just because you're a beautiful woman, right? Let's just say the stars. Just because you're a beautiful woman doesn't mean, that you know how to run life and know how to do everything. You're just pretty and sexy and everybody loves you and that's what you got and that's what you do,
And you still have to live and figure out how to, work and live with other people and how to, pay your rent instead of going on vacation. Decide what's important and what's not. But a lot of the girls aren't taught any of that because they go right out of high school, they go into the business and nobody really tells them. So that's what I was there for.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it's not all of them. A lot of the girls knew exactly what to do and what they were worth and what they wanted out of life when they got to us. And then some of the girls we just had to help along.
Really? Did you see the girls change as time went on? They became more responsible, or are they always the same? Some are good, some aren't. I mean, not good, but some are irresponsible, some are responsible.
Now, as compared to
Then 80s.
We made it so that the girls really didn't have to be responsible. We told them when to show up, where to be. We gave them their scripts, but and we hoped they would show up. Now, a lot of the girls, and I know this just from working at trade shows, they are more responsible once you get them to where they're supposed to be. So if they're supposed to be at a trade show and they're supposed to be there at 2:00, they may not show up at 2. But when they show up there, then they're good to go. They're on and they become, the performer that they are. Sometimes it's just getting them there.
But
is the problem.
I'm talking about, because right now, it seems like things are changing in society and the ideas. I've never seen it before like this, and I don't think you have.
No.
But the people, or the social media, has generated or directed the people into they're their own boss, they're their own businessman, they're their own businesswoman, and they can do whatever they want, but they can do business. So, and in some ways they can, because of the followers and the ideas that are out there way more than it used to be. Information is everywhere now. So my point is this: from back in the 80s when there was hardly any information, and the fact is that being in the adult business, all you knew was you showed up to set, shot. You didn't know all the distributors, all the mob guys in New York, anybody, anything. You knew a director, you knew an actor, a co-star, and that's what you knew. And you showed up to a strip club, right? Whatever, featuring as a dancer in the late 80s or whenever they did that, when it was big time in the 90s. That's what you knew, but you didn't know all the information that's out there today. So in that, point of view, do you see them more responsible now?
I see them taking more responsibility for themselves and for the actions. However, now that you bring this up, Kelly Holland and I are starting a business where we want to help people increase their internet presence. So the girls know some things to do, but there are so many things that could be done that you could do online just to get your name out there, to get people to know who you are, and that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be helping, because there's so many avenues that weren't available to girls in the 80s and 90s. It was different. We talk about this all the time, that there used to be 20 producers. Now there are 20,000 producers, because every performer is a producer. They shoot their own content, they trade content, they have websites. There's so much more that they can do that they're not doing. But yeah, they're camming. That's a whole new business. So there's so many cam people out there. I mean, there's girls and guys, and every the way everybody looks different, and everybody they're different ethnicities. I mean, it's just it's everybody can be a producer now. They can be their own producer, and because of that, nothing's centralized like it used to be.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, everything's scattered now. It's different. It's a different world.
So no longer do they have to rely on a company like Vivid or mine, Evasive Angles. You know, they could just take off and make their own money, which makes it makes it very difficult to run a company. It makes it more difficult. Yes. Not very difficult, but more difficult to run a company because nobody cares about you. They don't care as much.
Now it's just money. Now it's just extra money. I mean, when we had the Contract Girls in like the 90s, I started working for Vivid in 92. We had a publicist so that we could help promote them and get their name out. But then, you know, they used that to get them dance gigs, and then we, would send them to stores to do personal appearances. But it all came from within the company. We
controlled it.
Yeah. Now it's different.
You can't control it.
I don't know that anybody that the girls really want to be controlled anymore. I mean, like I remember going to trade shows for like the last shows that I went with Vivid, and the girls would be there, and they'd have 2 hours off. And they'd be like, okay, I'm going to go upstairs and cam for an hour. That's like when camming first started, and then it was just like a small part of what they would do. But they took control of that. They decided when they were going to do it. That was their business. When they work for producers, they're just an employee. So yeah, it's different. And girls can do so much more now if they know how, if they have the right tools. And that's our plan, is to give them those tools.
Oh, that's cool. So you just told me something I didn't know.
Oh God.
All right, I didn't know this, but you told me that you heard that Jenna was talking to Joe Rogan?
Years ago, I remember hearing that Jenna was seeing Joe Rogan. I don't know the details. I don't know how they got together. I don't know why they broke up. I don't know if they dated once or twice or 20 times.
That's cool.
I just heard that.
I mean, Joe's a cool guy, and Jenna's cool, so that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's a trip. Right?
Every now and then I know something.
You know
that nobody else knows.
She knows a lot. Believe me. You know, she doesn't do interviews, so we're very fortunate to have Marci Hirsch here. Thank you again.
I don't like doing interviews, but I like you, so. And I've known you for a long time, and I know you're not gonna make me sound like an idiot.
I hate those type of interviews. But if you don't mind, I'm curious, about way back. You know what I mean? I'm curious.
What do you want to know?
Where were you born and when?
Well, I was
not that far back.
Many years ago.
Sorry.
When Cleveland was still the old country. I was born in Cleveland. I hate to say it, but I will say it, 60 years ago.
60?
Yep.
Well, you look great. You look like about 41.
Oh, thank you. I feel about 21, so
yeah?
There you go.
Oh, great. Really? That's great.
Yeah, I feel great.
I feel about 80. I just wrestled yesterday and my bones are...
Well, yeah, no, I woke up this morning not an ache. Not an ache or a pain, so...
Wow, that's great.
It's a good day.
Wow. How long... I mean, your father's still alive.
Both my parents are alive. My parents are in their 80s, their early 80s. They're great, both healthy, and active, and then there's Stephen, who's a couple years younger than me, and then we have another brother who is 11 years younger than me.
So you're the big brother to Stephen. I mean, the big sister, sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe the big brother too, I don't know.
20 months older.
20 months? How was that? Would you guys fight a lot? Because me and my brother 20 months.
Oh, fought all the time.
Yeah?
Fought all, and then when my younger brother was born, I mean, he was like a different family because, Steve and I grew up together. we knew everything that had happened in our family because we went through it. And then when Brad came along, you know, all these things had happened that he wasn't part of, that he had never been part of. So, yeah, we fought all the time. It used to drive my mother
Did you
crazy.
beat him a couple times?
Did I beat him a couple times?
Beat him up.
Oh my God.
You're older, so you're stronger in the beginning.
We used to have this dining room table that was round, and my parents would, you know, leave me as the babysitter. Bad move. And I used to chase him around the table, until he'd get tired and he would stop, and then
Oh, really?
But
He got even.
he was so even. He got even for 26 years.
Really? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I want to know about that in a second. So,
You know, he used to tell people that I would, that during the day I listened to him, and at 5 o'clock I would tell him to go fuck himself.
oh, really?
Which is not true. Sometimes I did before 5.
That's funny.
Yeah. But, you know, it was weird. It was a great relationship. My mother always said, because we fought so much growing up, that she couldn't believe how well we worked together.
Yeah.
So
Well, you grew up, obviously.
people change.
Yeah. You know, it doesn't seem like you ever stop changing.
Well, God, I hope not.
You know what I mean? But you keep getting older, you see things differently, you feel differently about a lot of things, you know?
No, I know. You're right. And if you stop changing, then what happens? You're just stuck in a rut, and
Yeah, like,
you don't go anywhere.
you know, I noticed, here's some kind of, I don't
Philosophical.
know, yeah, not philosophical, but maybe just enlightening. You know, maybe just a point of view, or that some people don't know or can see. Now I'm going to bring it out, bring it above light, bring it to the light. So the fact is that I wrote a book, right? And
You did?
yeah, big 700 pages, right?
Get out of here. Is it published?
No, it's not published.
Oh.
So I gave out testers to people. You know, my book is a wild book, so I gave it to different ages of people, different, you know, type of people.
Good idea.
And I can tell you this, because in the book is a lot of wildness and, you know.
I
craziness.
remember what you were like when you were younger.
Anyways, the older people, I swear to you, and pretty much across the board,
Loved it.
no.
Hated it.
Anyone over 70 or 65 to 70 they totally lost their sex drive mostly, right? And they're not interested, they don't like it. It's a trip, it's a total trip, because to me it seems like the majority, right? Of course there's minorities, right? But I'm gonna think that the older people aren't having sex as much, right? And they're not as happy about sex, and maybe they're jealous they're not having sex, or they don't care about it because it's over, and maybe they're unhappy because they're not having it. And let me give you an example. I interviewed PT.
Oh dear.
All right, and PT. You know, I want you to talk about him later, but
You don't have to say any more. He's
right.
He's PT.
He's amazing, right? And crazy. But anyway, he says like this. He goes, I don't do drugs anymore, so I don't have sex anymore. And I can swear, when I saw the look on his face, he was not happy about it.
No, I don't think he is happy about it. He's also, he's 70. He very well could be having sex. There's no reason for him not to be. But if he ties it to drugs, then that's a problem. But I will say this about older people, only because we shot some
Some grannies.
nursing home. We shot some nursing homes. You know, the highest rate of STIs are in nursing homes, because because when they were young, you used to wear condoms so you didn't get pregnant. And now they can't get pregnant, so they don't use condoms, but they don't realize that there's a lot of other things you can get. I think they're realizing it now, though.
Yeah. No, there's, even in the hospitals, you hear about that one person that was in a coma for 20 years. I mean, that's a very sad. It's not even. This show is a positive show, so we don't even want to go that way. But you heard about it.
Yeah, it's. I think you can still have sex up until the very end. I know that for some women, you know, when you get older, you lose your sex drive, but there's ways to combat that now. There's things.
Yeah.
There's things you can take. There's things you can do.
But overall, I believe that the people lost their vigor, mostly around 70, it seems like, you know what I mean? And they are not interested. If they have sex, maybe it's like, you know, random, you know what I mean? And spaced in between, you know, far distances. But remember when you're younger, you're wild, you're strong, you want to fuck every day or everything. So those days are past them, and I believe they're not happy to see other people with the wildness. That's what I believe.
I don't think that they're happy to not be part of it anymore.
Yeah.
You don't forget about it. You don't forget what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't do. And I think, and like this would be the case with PT, because he's not married. And
He is married. He says he's married for 35 years or 30 years.
Okay, I know, to Judy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that they live together. They
Oh.
they never got divorced.
Oh, okay.
That I know.
All right.
But, well, I know this. They haven't had sex for I don't even know how many years. I'm gonna go. How many years has he been married? 35. I'm gonna say 35.
34?
35 maybe.
All right.
But
That's
people
nice.
that are married, I think, still. I mean, my parents still have sex. They're in their 80s.
Yeah. No, I mean, I believe that, but they don't want to read about the wildness. I don't believe.
Well, that's, because then you're just looking back and saying, I didn't do that when I could, and now I can't.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, it's a trip, I may just bring that to light. But let's go to you. You're the most important
boy.
subject here. So,
Yeah.
so the truth is that a lot of people might not know this, but I want to bring this to light.
Oh, God. It's not good that you know stuff about me.
You grew up in a household, I believe, you have to correct me, if I'm wrong,
I will.
in a kind of like a porn household a little bit, because your father owned a porn company. Can you tell me about that?
So we moved from Cleveland in 1975. My dad was a stockbroker when I was growing up, and then he went to work maybe in 72 or 3 for Reuben Sterman.
Really?
And
72, because Reuben's from Ohio. But
Yes.
They met in Ohio?
yes, and strangely enough, Reuben's brother and his wife were in my parents' wedding. So
Wow.
my parents knew Reuben, and then my dad started working for him, and then started his own business, and we all moved to California. It was not my best time of my life. I was the day before my 16th birthday we moved, and I had my first boyfriend, and it was very difficult for me. The rest of the family did great. Yeah, but so yeah, it was like we grew up being told if the police come to the house, don't tell them anything. If they ask you your name, you don't know. If they ask you how old you are, you don't know. If they ask where I am, you don't, my dad, you don't know. You don't know anything. So that's what we were told, and so that would have been our thing. They didn't come to the house.
Huh?
They didn't come to the house for us. My dad was on trial with Reuben and 9 other people, I think.
Really?
No, 12 with a bunch of other people in Cleveland. We moved. None of my friends knew what my dad did when I moved. Then it was in the papers. We're out of Cleveland, and now it's in all the Cleveland newspapers.
Wow.
Because they were going on trial. So now
That's why you moved?
No, we moved because my dad started a business in California, but he had to keep going back. So he would leave on Sunday, go back to Cleveland, be on trial till Friday, fly home Friday night, deal with his business stuff here Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and then fly back for 6 weeks, I think. It was crazy. One woman changed the entire jury's opinion. They were going to find them guilty, and one woman changed them all, and they got off and everything. It was 145 years, I think, if they'd been found guilty on everything, and it said it was nothing.
Each person?
It was,
What was it
interstate
about?
traffic, the same,
Bullshit.
right, the same stuff that everybody has dealt with, that Stephen even.
I heard later, yeah. Talk about that later, yeah.
Stephen dealt with that, so, it's always been their big thing, interstate traffic. And then there was, community standards, like Austin, Texas would be way different than somewhere in Louisiana. They're,
Mississippi or
right.
Georgia.
Mississippi is where Stephen, Oxford, Mississippi. And that's the thing. So they went by community standards. Now there is no community because of online. So you can't use community standards as a defense anymore because where's your community?
So it's SOL
Your
now.
community's online.
Now they're SOL. So
Your community is in another country.
So I didn't really know that 72 that he met Sternum. That's crazy. People got to realize this, that Marci and Steve are part of porn royalty.
No.
No, come on, no. This is
Porn
the beginning.
history for sure.
Royalty, because Kirk Douglas and Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas part of Hollywood royalty. You guys are part of porn royalty. That's a fact. That's just, whether people want to like porn or not like it, most people love it. The fact is the fact. You're part of porn royalty, and that's something you're going to have to take note of and respect it, because it's the beginning. Pioneer. You guys, your father's part of the pioneering,
My dad, when we first moved out here, it was still 8mm and Super 8, tape. So reels, and that's what we used to do.
That was 75. I want to make sure.
That was in the late 70s.
77, 78.
Yeah. Well, he started in 75, so I would say he was. I mean, there was no video. There was no beta or VHS yet. It was just the little. They were 8-minute long. They were lit loops. 1 minute to get in. 1 minute to get in. 6 minutes of sex. 1 minute to get out. Was the formula.
Wow, really? I didn't know that. So that was a loop formula, just 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm. They were they were the little tiny reels. Yeah. So we used to go to my grandfather also would go, and we'd make the boxes, like the boxes that you put the.
So you were 16?
I was 16. I was 15,
16.
I probably started doing that stuff when I was like 17, almost 18.
Okay.
And then we made the boxes, and we take the reels and put them in the trays, and then put the trays into the boxes and pack them up, and then pack up the orders, and we all did it.
Really?
My grandpa, my grandpa, my grandma even did some stuff.
Porn royalty.
The whole family was involved, but then beta and VHS came along.
So hold on a second, 1 second.
Okay.
How big the reel is? This big, or how big is the reel?
The reels they're like this big.
So like 3 inches, 4 inches.
It was just a little film reel. It was like the reel that you have up there, only smaller. Looked just like that, and thinner. And
about that thin or something.
Yep. And you just put.
And you just, how big is the box? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Well, the trays were like this big, and there was a circle, and the reel fit in the tray, and then the boxes were just a little bigger, and you slid it in there, a little bit up, and
a little smaller than a beach box, kind of, right?
oh my God, way smaller.
Way smaller. Okay.
Yeah. More like the size of a DVD.
Oh yeah. Okay.
A little bigger than that, but much closer to that than the big beta and VHS boxes.
Yeah, I never seen them. I never seen that. Yeah.
I still have a catalog. The line that my dad was limited edition. It's the only one I have.
Just take a picture. No, just take a picture.
Oh yeah.
I'll put them on this show.
It's falling apart. And you see there, like, there's John Holmes and Jamie Gillis. I mean, there's PT. It's crazy. It's crazy to. Sometimes I would have it at the office, and I would just like look through it and start laughing, and it's I will send you that now. Then I'll send. You know who's in there? John Stagliano. And I told him, Romeo Verde, that's the name he used. And so when I very first met him, I was talking to him about something, and out of the blue, I blurted that out, and he went, "What did you just say?" And I went, You did an 8mm film from
Really?
using that name," and he just laughing. Yeah, I'll take a picture of that page.
Did you watch the video? Was Stagliano?
Well, they weren't videos; they were film. You had to have a film projector.
Yeah, so you didn't watch it.
I did not watch it.
Okay.
No, I did not have a film projector.
You know, I mean that's a trip because I'm a performer. Everybody should know. Anyways, when you perform, you either soft or you're hard. You know what I mean? But so 6 minutes is pretty much almost anybody can do 6 minutes. You think, you know what I mean? So I'm interested, but because I don't think Stagliano was he could perform well. That's what I thought I heard. And I seen him on a set, before trying to do an orgy for somebody, and he couldn't do the job. But so I'm interested to see when he's younger.
Younger, and God, I think I actually told him this too. One time I went to a male strip club, and he was dancing.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
It's a place by the airport. So it was some place by LAX. Yep.
He's a real guy. He's a real
long time ago.
Really? He was young and he's nice looking. Was he nice looking?
Yeah, he was young. He was cute. He was funny, but he was still had that edge that edge to him. He was always in leather and had whips and stuff on stage.
Oh, he's kinky, huh?
Yeah, that's how he is.
Yeah,
he's John. He was just John.
He's a dirty pornographer, kind of. I mean, not himself dirty, but his mentality is very dirty. The truth is, it's too dirty for me.
Yeah, I love him.
I mean, I can watch that. I'm not into that dirty stuff, actually, and I'm important. But yeah, he's always been a very nice person.
Yeah, he's great. He's great and smart and
smart as hell, huh?
And yeah, he's
Yeah, he's great.
Great company.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, I would put probably Vivid and Evil Angel on the same plane, because in two different forms.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Two different forms, but they're both are and were, unbelievable companies with such high quality and such great ideas behind them, pushing them forward.
But totally different concepts.
Exactly, totally, not even close.
Which is great because that made us not really be competition.
Yeah. So that's a trip. This is beautiful. I don't even know this. That's great stuff. Stagliano's dancing by the LAX.
Many years ago. I think
crazy.
he told me it was called. The club was called the Landing Strip or the Jetway or something like that. When we were talking about it, because I didn't remember.
That's crazy. So I was thinking, my question was, but you kind of answered it. Nobody knew back then in your school that you were in the adult business. So then people wouldn't have said, oh, this family's a mafia family. You know what I mean? Some people think, that, porn, old porn, a lot of mafia. But
no, but we lived in Cleveland.
A lot of mafia in Cleveland.
A lot. Mm-hmm. But no, we didn't. Nobody knew anything, and part of the reason was because at that time, I was 15. I was embarrassed to tell them. My boyfriend knew, and his family knew. Them I was okay. I didn't know how they would react. Because you never know how they would react. And people ask me all the time, when your kids were little, were there people that didn't want, their kids to play with your kids? I was lucky. I did not have that issue. But I saw Teresa Flint the other night, and she said that happened to her. That when people found out that her dad was Larry Flint, they didn't want their kids to play with her.
Really? Wow. That sucks.
So, other people have had that happen. I just never did.
People are judgmental for sure.
I remember my son said when he was in kindergarten, he said to his teacher, "My mommy makes movies for big people." And,
really? That's cool.
And she, and so obviously she told me that he said that. And I said to her, I go, you knew he meant behind the scenes, right? That I was not a performer. And she went, well, yeah, we figured that out. She was, but the way he was talking about it, you don't know. And he was so proud.
Yeah.
He was 5 years old. He was so proud of me.
Let's make that clear. Marci Hirsch never did a movie. Never thought about it.
No.
Did you ever think about it?
No.
Okay.
Never thought about it.
I didn't think so.
Never thought of it. I have always had great respect for people that are willing to literally take off their clothes, have sex, and then be judged by people like me, people that watch. we used to watch the girls, and we go, she can't get a blowjob, and this one's not good at this, and
Her
this
body,
and,
blah, blah, blah.
and that was us doing that. So imagine what the public would be like. So I've always had great respect for that people could do that and not care what other people think. I always cared too much what other people thought.
Yeah, if you do, I can speak from experience that taking your clothes off for the first time in front of all the people when you're young, like I was, I was already a modest person. I love sex, but I was modest, and it's kind of strange, getting naked and watching people film you. Especially in those days, it's way more mysterious, So the mystique behind it was very mentally.
Look, the first time being on a set. Do you remember the first time you were on a set?
Yeah,
oh, I remember the first time I was on a set. Overload.
Yeah.
It was. I didn't know where to look. I didn't know where to stand. I didn't know what to do, where to go. I was covering my eyes. Not that I was at all a prude. I just was. I didn't know. It was a whole new world.
How old were you?
I was. Let's see. I was already working for Vivid, so I was in my early 30s.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see. 30 years old. So you were a modest person. You're a modest person, probably anyway.
And it's not. It wasn't about seeing people naked. It was just seeing 10 people naked all at the same time.
Okay.
Just walking around like it was nothing.
Yeah.
But after a couple times on a set, go put some clothes on.
Some ding-a-lings hanging around and all that stuff.
Put some clothes on.
Yeah. Well, I know when I used to be on a set, sometimes I would be like, hey, look at this. Right? Sometimes I'm fully going, you know what I mean?
Mark Davis used to chase me around.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he would stop and take a towel and put a towel on his dick like it was a towel rack. And just walk around. God.
That was great.
That's the stuff we used to do.
You want to hear
And
something?
sets were fun.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, it's great times. You want to hear something ironic?
Yes.
Mark was here 2 days ago.
No way.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's unbelievable.
I haven't
right?
seen him for so long. Yeah, no, he's great.
You should hear the story I got from him. It'll blow your mind.
Well,
No, I mean, good, nothing bad.
I know some stories.
Yeah.
Well, remember, he was married to Kobe Tai. He was one of our contract girls.
Yeah, we went to Hawaii, remember?
Yes.
Together with
Yes.
Kobe Tai.
Yes, I do. And Heather Hunter.
Yeah. I didn't go with Heather Hunt, I don't think, did I?
Same trip.
Oh yeah? Okay.
And then you stayed and shot for PT after that, right?
I don't think so. I think I left because Steve asked me to go. Remember, we were going to do a directing deal. I was going to deal with him. But then I was like, no, I need to get money. It wasn't right for me. He says, well, please keep going on the trip to Hawaii. And so I went on the trip, and then I think I left after, I think. So I think it was just us.
It wasn't the shoot with Kelly. Kelly wasn't. Okay, so that was a different Hawaii trip. Your trip,
you were with me.
Your trip was on the Big Island.
Yeah.
But we did a trip before that in Kauai.
Kona. We went to the green sand beaches, remember?
Oh.
It took us forever to get there.
Oh my God! With the Jeep.
Yeah.
Who was driving the Jeep? Chet was driving the Jeep.
Yeah, was Ted driving?
He was driving.
John Doe.
Do you remember me saying, Steven will be very upset if you kill me? Because we were driving down those like narrow things, and the Jeep was.
Yeah, Tiffin.
You could touch the side. You could touch the.
I was used to that because I did that as a child with my father, but so no big deal for me. But it took us forever to find the green sand beaches. Remember?
And they said, and you weren't allowed to take rental cars there.
Yeah,
And we
so
did
had,
it anyway.
Right, we had to hike there, right? And when we got there, I was the performer to work on it on the beach.
I remember. I had forgotten about it, but now I remember it exactly. God.
And so the wind sandblasted us on the beach. After all that time getting there, we were sand all over. You know what sand is like trying to do sex?
Yes, I do, because I had to hear it from everybody, that entire trip.
But not when the wind's blowing 100 miles an hour.
Well,
it's crazy.
It's like sandpaper.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you can't really. I mean, you have to, but you can't.
Right, because both sides are sandpaper. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Sandpaper.
both sides.
Both sides are sandpaper. I remember because you and John Doe and I went out to dinner.
I was gonna say that.
We couldn't. I think it was because we couldn't stand being around all the rest of the people.
Maybe.
I think we had to.
Yeah.
get away and just sort of.
We went to a restaurant on the water. Remember?
The three of us.
Yeah, the three of us at night. Yeah, at dinner. Yeah, that was nice. Remember? I remember perfectly.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
I had forgotten about that, but yes, I do remember it. I remember that drive, that Jeep drive.
Yeah, the Grandstand Beaches, and then I never told you, but Kobe Ty came on to me, right? But I like Mark Davis. And I told Mark Davis this too. I said, I just walked away.
Well, like when your brother, when I asked you if it was okay, and you said no.
See? Look at Marcy. Thank you.
Look, your friends are your friends.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah. So back to you. So here you are. I guess the porn really started going for your father when he moved to California.
Yeah, when he started his own business.
So what was the name of that company?
Sunrise International Distributors.
But that was a different name for the video company, right?
Yes, Adult Video Corporation, AVC.
ABC. Was that another name like Gourmet Video or something like that? No.
No, he was not gourmet.
No. I thought it was.
There was VCX was like the big company. They're the ones that had Devil Miss Jones and Deep Throat and.
I thought Arrowhead Deep Throat because Butchie made it.
This was. No, I think they had it before that. VCX was the first company that really did beta and VHS and video, and they promoted it, and they had billboards, and they had premieres and theaters with the big spotlights, and I mean, there were some great times. When there was a lot of money floating around then, a lot of money.
A lot of green.
So, when we would go to the shows, when we go to the CES show in Chicago, and we would bring boxes and boxes of videos. And I'm telling you, when my dad first got in the video business, he had 6 one-hour titles that were so bad. The quality was so bad. And they just sold like crazy. And we'd put them out on the counter, and I spent half the day just doing credit cards. And then shoving cash wherever we could, and then at the end of the day, we'd just go and there'd be...
Wow. How much were those selling for back then?
$89.95.
Really? But I heard the stock.
But you got a deal. At the show.
3 for the price of
3 for like $240.
You got
can't
$27 discount.
Let me tell you, at those shows at that time, nobody cared. Nobody cared if there was a discount. Everybody it was brand new. They had just gotten their first VCR, and.
Is that a VCR or the beta? Because beta was in like 82,
Well, beta and VHS started at the same time, and then beta went away.
Yeah.
But so yeah, some people had a beta machine, some people had a VHS machine, but it was the first ones. They were, at that time they were like $600. I mean.
Yeah, no, my father had a beta.
And at the very end, they were like $50. But you'd buy this machine, and and mainstream Hollywood would have some movies out, and then suddenly you could buy porn and watch it at home.
So beautiful.
And not 8-minute loops, like a movie, a real movie.
1 hour. Really?
Well,
no, okay.
I'm gonna say his were an hour, but
I got you.
But like VCX, I mean, you could watch Deep Throat, you could watch Devil Miss Jones, you could watch Flesh Gordon. I saw all that. No, Flesh Gordon, I actually saw it.
So that's my question. Yeah.
I saw that in a drive-in. Flesh Gordon at a drive-in.
Really?
With a boyfriend. Flesh Gordon and another one like that.
Did Flesh... I was tripping out, but I thought that guy named Howard, who owned a house in Malibu, the location, his dad's got...
Yes!
Right?
Yes!
How was his last name? Howard,
I don't remember. But the house had an indoor pool. Do you remember that?
No, it didn't have an indoor pool. Maybe he moved.
It was like down... It's a creepy house. It had...
way on top of off of Topanga Canyon.
And in all the... and in all the doorways that had like the beads. Very hippie. All the couches had like sheets and stuff thrown over them, different fabrics and stuff.
And his wife was always real cool, but I could swear at the end she was a lot more forward.
It was...
if you know what I mean.
Flesh Gordon. And
she was nice.
What was his other one?
I don't know. All I know is that Flesh, he made his money off Flesh, right?
And there was another one too. I saw them at a double feature to drive-in.
Really? Boyfriend. How was it? How was Flesh Gordon? No? Okay.
It was fine. You know, at that time for me, it was great.
Yeah, it's a different time.
It was also soft because, it was a drive-in. And
Right. But
you know.
simulation, you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I mean, there was still nudity. There was just not,
So-
penetration.
So your father's company. So did Reuben help your father, or did your father just
No,
just separated? And how'd that
separated,
work? Really?
started his own. It was rough at the beginning, nobody likes to, I mean, even, you don't like to train somebody and then somebody else get the benefits.
Oh yeah. it's
So,
unbelievable.
but it ended up fine. Reuben was fine.
Because people don't know that, maybe they should know. A lot of people out there don't know that Reuben Sternum was, some say, the Godfather of Porn. How do you feel about that statement?
I think it's true. He used to sell out of the trunk of his car. He started out selling
Comic books.
cigarettes and candy, and then comic books and books where they would like rip off the covers of the book. Not just sexy books, but regular books. And then it went into. Reuben was so smart. He started shooting. They started shooting, and then he started building the peep shows. So all the peep shows started with him. So he
Really?
licensed all the peep shows to all the stores.
He licensed them. What do you mean he licensed
He
them?
licensed the technology because they were, I mean, those what they were like.
Yeah.
They were
seedy, but they're wonderful.
so great. They were so
The
great.
money, people don't know, the money from those boots
Those quarters.
made people quadzillionaires.
So when I went to college at UNLV, I worked at Talk of the Town bookstore in Las Vegas. Reuben and Ralph Lane owned the stores, and they had like 7 different stores, but Talk of the Town was a big one, and it had a huge arcade. And it was the first time I ever saw drag queens was at that store. And they kept saying to me, don't walk through the arcade, the guys don't like it. And I was like, okay. Walked through every day, walked through there, just because wanted to see what's going on in there. I would go into one of the peep shows and put in a quarter just to see what was going. And then on Fridays they would go to all the stores and get the quarters. And then they would have to wash all the quarters off because
They had
there was stuff.
sperm on them, or more,
Or more.
because the drag queens were there. You're saying?
Well, and they would just like pee in the slot where the money went in.
Oh my
So-
God! Really?
So we had these big like drains that had covered that had like where you couldn't, none of the money would fall through, and they would just pour the quarters into the drains and hose them all down. It was
That's cool.
it was disgusting. Oh,
Yeah.
the smell was.
But were the drag queens there to service the people in the booth? Say hey.
Sometimes.
So they were kind of working.
Yeah, my first time
Working
I ever
the
saw
hallway.
a glory hole was in those peep shows.
Glory hole. People know what glory holes are. Look it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
So that's a trip. So you worked
Real days.
for Reuben.
well, that's when I was in college.
Well,
that was my job. Most people when they're in college, they waitresses or they work in a retail store. I didn't. I worked at Talk of the Town.
So you definitely weren't too good for school. You were just down for everything. You were down.
Yep, and I was a great student.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a great student, but I also, needed to make money, so.
So they paid
hired
well.
me.
They paid well. Or you just normal wages.
They paid me, let's say, I think I could say this because nobody's alive anymore. I forget what the amount was, let's say $10 an hour on the books and then like $5 an hour off the books. And I would go to.
$10 an hour back then. That's pretty good money.
Well, Reuben was,
Well, he was cool. Well, your family kind of.
Yeah, I've known him forever. So I went and I was going to Europe for a thing with school. We were
I just want to make sure. This is 1980. What you think? Make sure the minimum wage.
1981, 2, 3.
Okay, so that's great money. So go ahead. You're
Great money. And then I went on a trip with the college I went to hotel administration school, and we went to Europe and went to a hotel school there for 5 weeks. And so I said to Ralph, okay, I'm getting ready to go on my trip. Can I have my because he kept the other money for me. He just handed me thousands of dollars. So I'm like, here it is.
$1,000, yeah! And you're like 19 or 20.
And I was like, and that's, well, I was a little older. I was
okay.
like 23. But I was like, there's my trip.
Wow, that's cool.
It was great. It was great. They were really good to me.
That's interesting. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's a trip. So your father started his company in 76,
70, well, we moved in 75, so I'm going to say 75. Maybe
okay.
end of 74 he started working on it, but 75, and we moved out in August of 75.
You know what? I want to go back real quick. Sorry about this. I want to bring up Ruben, you know, because I don't know that much about him. You know what I mean? He has a son, of course, David Sternum, who's, you know, runs San Francisco stores. But, you know, I don't know that much about him, so I'm just curious. I really am curious. So you say, I always heard he's very, very smart. So he invented the technology. He's the originator of
He did not invent the technology. He, you know, hired some. He came up with the idea for.
He came up
for the peep shows, and then they had somebody build them, and then they put them in their stores, and then they started putting them in everybody's stores. So everybody wanted arcades, and so they started building all the.
So he's the guy behind the arcade. And also this, I heard this, and maybe you can confirm it for me, that he had at one point in time 1,000 stores across the states.
I don't know how many stores, but there were stores there were stores, because I never had anything to do with the stores. I knew more about the distributors. So he had distributors in like all the major cities. So like San Francisco took care of like the West, and Chicago took care of like the, you know, Indiana and whatever those other states are around there. And then there was Cleveland, there was Michigan, and so there were different like distribution
GVA
centers. Right.
They became GVAs then, or that?
They became GVAs after. They were like Capital News, Sovereign News. They were different, and then they turned into General Videos once there was a video business.
Okay. So, that's really, how many stores? Any idea? I mean, he had a lot of stores, right?
A lot of stores.
Some crazy people say he had 1,000 stores, each one making $1,000 a day. Some wild story like that. How far away from that is the truth?
I don't know, but he did say to me one time, I have more money than I could ever spend.
Really? So for sure,
he had a bunch of stores.
He might have been a billionaire. Or the first.
If he had, I think if it was today, I would say yes.
Billionaire.
Yeah.
Because the only other.
But then, you know how his life ended.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. His life ended in prison. He died. He escaped once, and then he.
No money.
No money.
He died with no money.
There was no money overseas or anything?
There was no money. Well, I'm sure that this is public knowledge, but he was the first, it was the first time that the Swiss government gave the United States information about bank accounts.
Oh, no, really?
And that's why he was originally arrested, was for tax evasion.
They found the money. Oh my God.
And now
terrible.
the Swiss government apparently does it all the time. That's why people don't have Swiss bank accounts anymore. That's why they have them in Cayman Islands or wherever they have them. But, you know.
Wow, that seems pretty stupid on their part.
I think after years and years of being pressured, the Swiss government, I think they must have thought, pornographer, this would be the time to do it.
This is the right guy. Not everybody, maybe just certain allotted a lottery. Here we go.
But you know, once you do it once,
Yeah, right. You can't
set
go
a
back.
precedent. Nope, you can't go back.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. Huh, that's a trip.
I know a few things.
Yeah? What else?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, that's unbelievable.
Those may be the only things I know, so thanks for asking.
That was a trip, yeah. So what kind of guy was he? Did you talk to him quite a bit?
Oh, yeah. I never, and I say this all the time, I never had to do business with him. So my relationship with him was totally different than everybody else's. He was great. He was great to me. He was really smart and taught me a lot. But then I never had to do business with him, so I never had to negotiate anything with him.
But he was rough on that part.
I would imagine so. I mean, most successful people are great negotiators.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Asher's an amazing, and Stephen.
Bill Asher is the partner of Stephen?
Yes, Bill Asher's one of Stephen's partners.
Oh,
There were two partners.
Oh.
David James.
Oh, that's the guy I heard about.
Right.
David James.
So he's been out of the day-to-day for a while. And then Bill Asher was a really, really smart businessman. And Stephen, really smart businessman. So
That's great. Huh, that's cool information about Reuben. Sure. Anyway, so he got his car and went state to state selling the movies, and then he becomes so big and powerful. It's a great story.
He was selling first cigarettes and candy out of his trunk, and then comic books, and then that went to porn. Yeah, out of the trunk of the car.
I mean, that's probably
It was a cash business at that time.
unbelievable. Huh? Great. So let's step back away from him, back to you. So so you got, who had the biggest influence in your life, your mother or your father? On you.
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know that I would say either one of them, strangely enough. I would actually say Stephen probably had more of an influence than my parents.
Wow. Really? That's
Well,
interesting.
we spent a lot of time together over the years. A lot of time. My mom is, she's not going to listen to this, so it doesn't matter. Very judgmental. And she always was. Very judgmental. And so she and I butted heads all the time. Bless you.
Thank you.
So we butted heads. My dad, I was the only girl, so.
Daddy's girl. Is that true? The daddy's girls always, they have a good connection?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Because, you run, when something's wrong or you want something, you go to your dad.
Yeah, I mean...
Because if you go to your mom's, you won't get it.
Okay.
You learn. So,
was Steve's connection with the father as strong as yours? Because it's not daddy's girl, or...
no.
No?
Stephen,
Okay.
much more with my mother.
Wow. Trip.
That's usually how it is.
Really?
Boys and their moms and girls and their dads.
Wow. Okay, so sorry to interrupt that, but
That's
keep
okay.
going. So Stephen, huh? That's cool. Was Stephen could you see brilliance in him already as a young boy?
When he was 13, he worked at an ice cream store that was right by our house, and you had to be maybe 15 or 18. You had to be older than 13. So he lied.
But he looked young too, didn't he?
He lied about his age, and they still hired him. And then when it was time for his bar mitzvah, which you have when you're 13, he had to tell them that he was going to his cousin's bar mitzvah. So that he could get the day off of work, and they wouldn't know that he was only 13.
That's
So he must have been 12 when he started.
So he already could maneuver a little bit.
Yeah, he and our next door neighbor, who he's still friends with, when they would do like not the Jerry Lewis telethon, but something like that, and they would see him on TV, and they'd be on the access cable, those weird channels. They would go all around the neighborhood and collecting stuff, collecting money, collecting clothes and stuff, literally so they could hear their names on television. Because you send in stuff, or you call and you make you say, I'm going to donate this, and then they say your name on television. They wanted to hear their names on television, and they're both really successful today.
Wow, that's interesting. So they had a little mindset already.
Yeah.
At 13 or 14?
I really think some people are born with it. Like,
Yeah.
we say that all the time about sexuality. You can't really teach it to anybody. You're sort of born with it. You can teach you how to perform properly on camera. Turn this way, turn that way, move this way, move that way. But some people aren't inherently sexual.
Oh, totally right.
Right. But some people are. And I think it's the same thing with that. I think they just had that drive in them. I was much more about, social and boyfriends and hanging out with my friends and going to football games and.
Yeah, really. So I mean I saw the pain in your eyes. It's still there a little bit when you moved.
That was horrible.
Right. So tell me,
It was
you want to talk about that real quick?
No.
No.
No. But
Heartbreak.
There's really nothing to say. It was my first boyfriend. One day my parents said, we're moving to California, and I went, I'm not going. And they said, yeah, you're 14, you're going. You're 15, you're going. And I did not want to go, and it was a bad few months, and it was bad when we moved, and it was a bad few months once we lived here.
You got over it. You didn't ever get over it. I see it in your eyes.
You know what it is? It's not that I didn't get over. I mean, I got over it. I got over him. It's the actual feeling of being pulled away from somebody that I don't know that you ever get over.
It's a scar, right?
Yeah, it's. I watch stuff on TV and people saying goodbye to each other, and I cry like a baby. It all comes back.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's weird. You know, I have a girlfriend from way back, you know, and whatever happened, you know.
The one who burned your clothes?
No. No, this is when I was in high school.
We like to talk. We sometimes like to talk about her.
She's crazy. No, this is in high school, right? You know, her name was Shannon. But, you know, whatever happened, her mother didn't like me. You know, her mother thought I was a bad kid, you know, and all that. And my father was, you know, already a millionaire, wealthy, you know, businessman. And they weren't doing much, you know what I mean? But I was the bad guy. Who knows? They thought my father's mob or something.
Did you have tattoos then?
No, I had nothing. I was just a boy.
I had a boyfriend with tattoos, and nobody had tattoos at the time, and my mother did not like it. No.
It makes, somebody to get a tattoo makes their brain think differently sometimes, so maybe she knew better. Maybe she did.
It was like an eagle on one arm and a flag
like,
or something.
that's like a tough guy.
Two stupid things on his arm. And my mother was just like, tattoos, oh my God.
But anyways, back to me and Shannon. Even though I'm over it, I don't care, but there's a scar. It's a strange scar. It's weird.
And I think first love is always that's different because, you know, it's your first time of anything. It's the first time that anything happened. And I met him on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, 1975. And I moved at the end of August in 1975.
Oh, so it was like a heavy...
From the day we met, we were together all the time.
So that means that you guys were doing the wild thing?
First for both of us.
First brother? That's beautiful.
Yep. Learned together.
Yeah.
Got off the books.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal, really.
I got off. Seriously.
Yeah.
Open the books. Let's try that.
Oh, yeah.
What are they doing? That looks fun. Let's try and do that thing.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool. I mean, you guys had the same ideas, same connection.
Absolutely.
And was the heat hot?
It was, well, first of all, neither of us knew any different. So let's just start with that. And then, you know, when you get older and then you think back and go, God, was it as great as I thought it was? Because now that I've had way more experience and I know other stuff but there's always something there because even if it wasn't really hot and sexy, there was all that love there. You know, it took its place. It moved in and it was perfect. It was perfect.
That's right. You can't beat the real, organic, truthful feeling of one person liking the other person so much. And you know, you can combine sexually, you know, and unionize, and you can't beat it, can you?
Nope, you cannot.
You know, and I'm afraid. You know, it scares me. It scares me to think that quite possibly in the future, this might be gone. This idea, because it seems people are more separated, and it scares me because the love, the passion, the kissing, the touching, that it seems. You know, maybe I'm jaded, but it seems like it's not as much as it once was.
Well, in the movies, in adult movies, for sure it's not. For sure that stuff is.
The society, period.
But I don't know. I worried that I would never ever feel that way again. That was always my biggest fear. What if I met my soulmate at 15 and. And I'm still gonna grow up and be a lot older, and what's gonna happen then? And I'll still have boyfriends, but will it ever be? It's never exactly the same because there's that first time, there's that first love thing that is really powerful.
You know what? I relate with you so much because my stepmother used to say, it's only puppy love. And let me tell you something. It's not puppy love, A.
Not puppy love.
B, I broke into their house in the middle of the night with my 30-30 rifle, right? And I said, you know, when I'm 16, don't mess with me, you know what I mean? Because I'm not the one to mess with. And so, yeah, you know, so it was not puppy love. I agree, you know, you cannot, it's the way it is, you know?
It is. It was as real as people in their 20s and 30s and 40s. It was that real.
Let me high five you on that one. So all the doubters out there, fuck you.
Yeah, it's look, you know when it's like that, and it doesn't happen that often, and that's the truth. And you get pieces of it. Like, you know, I had a boyfriend that I was with for a long time, and the sex was amazing, but the other part wasn't really there. I mean, it's not that it wasn't there. And I loved him, and he loved me, but there was, you know, he was a player, so you know, there was that there. And then I got married, and
No. Not even close, does it look like?
not close, not even. I wanted kids.
Wow.
That's basically what
You
happened.
settled. You know, settling is
For 5 years now.
5 years. And you unsettled.
I unsettled with 2 kids.
Well, I mean, love is a strange, powerful entity or whatever you want to call it, you know?
It's
Energy or whatever.
and it's something that you literally cannot control.
No.
It's either there or it's not there, and you got it or you don't have it, and it's either overwhelming or it's nothing. It's
very powerful.
for me, and this is pretty much goes through my whole life and all my emotions stuff. I am very much black and white. It's either I love somebody and I want to be with them all the time, or I hate somebody and I don't care if I ever see them again.
Really? I'm similar. We have similar feelings.
That's why we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you know, not everybody's like, you know, so
You know, it is
regimented.
And not everybody, I believe this, that not everybody has that one really true love. Not everybody finds it in their life. So you can't, unless you've had it, you can't compare anything to it.
That's true. You know, who wasn't lucky enough? Because not everybody is lucky.
Nope.
A lot of people go different paths. A lot of people don't even get to live life long. A lot of people have sicknesses. A lot of people have too much going on, and it's very strange. Yeah, but you're right. So whoever gets it are the lucky ones, and they, you know, you got to appreciate it because it can't be gone.
Well, I mean, look at people that were high school sweethearts and still married.
Yeah.
My parents were 19 or 20 when they got married.
Wow.
They're 82 and 81 now.
Wow.
So, you know, that is
Solid age.
right. And you know, and so for the 3 of us, the 3 kids, that's what we knew. That was I didn't know when I was growing up. I didn't know anybody whose parents were divorced. I mean, the community that we lived in Cleveland, you know, people weren't divorced, and you know, so we wanted to emulate what our parents had. So we've all been divorced. My younger brother's remarried. He's got a great wife and family, and Stephen has a great girlfriend, and
Was he married, Steve, before?
he was. And now he has a great girlfriend, and I'm just me.
Single?
Single.
So everybody out there know that this is a very great woman.
Yeah.
Cool. And you know, back in those days, the stigma of being divorced or single, you know, with kids or something like that was nothing you want a part of.
No. But you know, I never cared. I was, you know, if I was gonna get divorced, for me, it would have been much worse to fake it and stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because since you're black and white, you can't do it. So, the movies were around your house? Were the movies laid around your house ever?
Nope.
Never?
Never.
So you never... So when did you first see an adult movie?
Well, the first time I ever saw Adult Magazine was we were living in Cleveland, and our neighbor was over, and I don't know why we were doing this, but we were going through the drawers in my parents' bedroom, and my woohoo, and in my dad's dresser, pulled out the bottom drawer, and he was working for Reuben, and so there was a bunch of magazines, and so Stephen and Tony and I, we looked through everything, and then I thought that the first movie I saw was Flesh Gordon, but now that I think about it, it was Soft, so it wasn't really. So the first hardcore movie I saw, I think, was Devil and Miss Jones.
Wow, it's pretty kinky. Gerard Damiano directing it.
And Deep Throat. And I saw it. I was already working for my dad, and I was at my boyfriend's aunt's house, and they had a VHS machine, and they actually had the, and we.
So this is later. This is
like 5 of us. Like 5 of us. I was 18 at the time.
Oh, okay.
5 of us like went into a room and they were like, "Here, go watch it."
How did you feel about
And we
it?
did. I'd already been working for my dad. I was like, whatever.
You're, really?
I was like, yay!
But you never saw it. You never saw a movie, so.
But I'd seen all kinds of stills, and it wasn't, and I'd seen Flesh Gordon, so I'd seen nudity on screen before.
Okay.
So it wasn't as shocking for me as it was for everybody else who were like, oh my God.
So it didn't do anything to you? Get you stimulated?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
All of us. That's the thing. It was, I mean, it's still now. I mean, that's people. You watch. I could watch stuff on regular TV that make that. I'll watch like some love scene and I go, well, that's sexier than anything that we've ever shot. No, because it's different. Different things make you feel differently.
The puzzle, it's like a puzzle. If the puzzle fits real tight and shows a lot in the puzzle, then your brain works differently. It's very strange.
And you never know. You never know what it is that's gonna, hit that right note with you.
So that's interesting. So when your father's in the business, so it's obviously a better move for him to do from stockbroking to working for Reuben, now making his own company, so there's got to be more money there.
Yep.
So how is the economic status in your household?
Oh, much better.
Much better?
Much better, yeah. Much better. When you get in on the ground floor of anything, it's great. So, he was one of the first that did video. My dad was one of the first video companies. So, but like anything else, time marches on and you have to make adjustments along with it, and my dad wasn't that great at that.
No.
So.
Old school's hard. You got to really know because things start changing, right?
And you have to be willing to change with it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, there's not as much money there as there was before. And you have to find a way to make more.
Yeah.
But if you just stay doing the same thing, then,
So
it doesn't really.
So Stephen got a great piece of information, right, by watching your father possibly, right? Knowing that you got to stay up on your toes real light and be able to move. Yes or no?
And Steven's a great businessman. I mean, a great salesman.
Great salesman.
A great salesman. And he still to this day, and he always was, he had an amazing marketing mind.
You told me that before.
And I used to say it in front of him, and he would be like, what? I said, but it's true. But it's true. He was always, could see one step ahead, what the next thing was going to be, and how to make it work. For example, 3D. Everybody was 3D. We're going to start shooting in 3D. Everybody was going to be doing 3D. And when we did interviews, and they'd say to us, when are you going to start shooting 3D? And we said, when people start having 3D TVs, because nobody wants to sit next to their wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend on the couch with those stupid glasses on. Not sexy.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you're watching, because you turn and look at the person and they have those weird glasses on, not sexy. So we said, once people start, and the technology was there for the TVs, they were just ridiculously expensive, but nobody,
We didn't go anywhere.
no, and so we were one of the few companies that never shot anything in 3D.
Oh, smart. Well, you've probably had a great business sense, right? So.
Yeah, why? Why would you shoot something that a very small part of the population can even watch.
That's a waste of money.
Yeah. A huge waste of money because at the beginning they were really expensive to shoot.
You already described your first job pretty much, right? Working for Ruben, that was the first job you had?
No, I didn't work for Ruben. I worked my very first job ever in the business, or just ever.
Just ever.
No, I worked for this company that I don't really even know what they did. They gave away dinners, free dinners to people, and then they would have to go listen to a presentation on property that they were trying to get them to buy. That was my first job, door to door. Door to door offering people free dinners. And all you have to do is watch a short 20-minute presentation on whatever the thing was. Although the presentation was not just 20 minutes long. But they did get a good dinner out of it. So that was my first job. And then I managed a t-shirt store when everybody was wearing t-shirts with the transfers. And you'd go to the store and they'd all be on the walls and you'd pick out, I want that design on this t-shirt, and you'd put them on the machine. And
Wow.
I did that. And then after that, I worked for my dad.
So how old were you start working for your father?
I really started working for him, I was 18. I was 18 when I started working in the office. When I started, doing some accounting and answering phones. I was 18. Then I went back to school. I thought I would be a nurse. So then I went back to school, and then I was not a nurse.
So you went to college and you were mixed?
This is before UNLV.
Okay.
I went to Pierce and I took
Really?
like pre-nursing classes.
So now you're living in the valley? Woodland Hills or something like
Yeah,
that?
Woodland Hills.
Okay.
Still there. They're still there,
Oh,
still in the
really?
same house.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know you didn't like it because your boyfriend was there, but did you like California more, or you didn't like it at all?
I did not like any. I didn't like anything that had anything to do with California. But then then I made friends, and I made friends with people that were totally different than what I grew up in Cleveland, like people that were wild. Here on Fridays they would go to parties at people's houses they didn't know, and it would just be these huge parties at somebody's house. Nobody knew who lived. We didn't know who lived there.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody invited somebody else, and next thing you know, there were 300 people at your house, destroying it.
That's right.
That's those. I was involved with those people, so I would be going to those parties, and I didn't even like them back then.
Huh?
And that's when I started. I had smoked weed before I guess I'd done more than that before I moved to California.
Oh yeah? Tell me about it.
I'm trying to get my timeline straight. But when I moved out here was the first time I smoked. The first thing I ever smoked when I moved out here was opiated hash,
Wow.
and I had no idea.
What did it do to you?
I had no idea what it even was. It was great.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. And then it was PCP.
Oh shit! You smoked PCP?
Stephen and I both loved it.
Oh really? That is great. Really?
But you have to have tight control on it.
What did it do to you? Really? What does it do?
It just makes you,
Happy
sort of,
or
and float, sort of, and somebody pushed me in a pool, and I just remember feeling like I was just slow motion. But you could drown because you're all happy when you go in. You have to remember to stop breathing.
Huh. That's a trip. PCP. I never did PCP. You did acid, LSD.
I have.
How'd you like that?
I left it because I love hallucinogenics. I don't do any of this stuff anymore. Now that I'm older, I do not do any of this. I do not do any of this stuff.
I know you like hallucinogens because I can swear one time we were at
here we
the
go.
Mondrian or wherever we were over there in Hollywood or Beverly Hills with Jen. Was that just
I'm
Jane?
literally not even going to answer.
Right? And you gave me some mushrooms and Xanax.
I still love mushrooms.
Right? And all I remember is saying I can drive fine, and I woke up the next night, 24 hours later, in my house, and I'm like, whoa, how'd I get here? I said, Marci.
They set you in a cab.
Yeah, sent me in the cab.
I drove myself home. I was fine.
Really?
It's crazy. I still love mushrooms.
I
haven't done them in 100 years, but still love them.
Really? They're great,
I still
right?
love the idea of them. You
They're-
know, I smoke weed, and that's basically. So I don't hardly even drink much.
Have you tried the Chase the Frog yet?
No, what is that?
It's like DHT. You ever heard about the frog? Okay, well, the frog is based on, from what I understand,
Because you never did drugs. That's, I think, why you had a really low tolerance to the stuff that somebody gave you at that hotel.
We don't know.
We don't know who gave it to him.
But anyways, I was with Nacho over there in Spain, right? So he's like a shaman, right? He's practicing the shamanship.
Really?
Yeah, really, seriously. He's real serious about it. He's a very intelligent person, you know?
I didn't really know him.
Yeah. No, he's kind of after your time a little bit, but he's like a brother. I love him. And anyway, so the frog is from Mexico, and it's a poisonous frog.
That you lick?
No.
Is it the frog that you lick? Because
No.
there's a toad or something, like a hallucinogenic toad, I think, that you lick the back of it and you...
Or maybe it does the same thing that way, but the way I understand that he gets it, is that the frog is, the poison is caught. It only comes out once a year in the rainy season, something like that. And the frog is caught, and they scrape the poison off it with a razor or something like that. They put it on a plate or some type of drying instrument or, surface. It dries up. After it dries up, you put it in a pipe and you smoke it.
I have never heard that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
No, everybody's done it. A lot of people have done it. Joe Rogan's done it. He talks about it.
See, this is what happens. You get older and...
You miss out. But anyway, let me tell you about it.
I one time had to say to Steven, hey, did you ever try... Did you ever try ecstasy? Because, Steven's sober. And he was like, no. I go, me neither, but man, I want to. This was years
Why did you try?
was,
You tried
I did.
it.
Yeah. But this was at the beginning of the ecstasy thing. But he'd been sober for so long that he was like, no, me neither.
Oh, yeah?
I want to.
What about cocaine? How'd you like cocaine?
I liked it. I did it. Toward the end, I didn't like it. First of all, I couldn't breathe. So that was bad. And then it made me weird, like not want to go anywhere, just want to stay like in a corner, not really talk. Made me unsocial. I know some people it makes very social, and it did at the beginning, and then it stopped.
Is it sexual for you?
At the beginning, it was.
Did you snort it or smoke it? Or both?
Mostly snorted it, and then ended up smoking it.
At least she's honest and strong. Right? Because you know what? Here's what people must understand. Come on, let's face it, right? It's you, it's your body, it's your life, and these are experiences that you get in your life,
Absolutely.
and it's up to you. And if you like it and you have fun, then it's all you. And if somebody's going to put some type of shame or guilt on you, that's their problem. It's not your problem.
I always, unlike Stephen, who eventually did have a problem, I was always able to keep it.
Control.
Yeah, I could, like, if I was doing something, I knew when to stop. I rarely crossed the line. Rarely.
How did it feel when you smoked it?
Smoked what?
Cocaine. How did it make you feel?
It made me feel like, first it made me feel like my head was going to explode. It was like gonna burst and then like a million pieces. And it's when I lived in Las Vegas and then used to go gamble.
Oh, really? Really? So it wasn't, you weren't using it for sex?
For hours. There was somebody that worked for Ruben in Cleveland, who I had known for years and years. And he was a big gambler. And he would come out here, and his cousin owned not here, in Las Vegas, and his cousin owned a casino, and so we would go there and literally gamble for 10 hours.
For free?
No.
Oh, so you
Well,
had
it was free for me because I used his money, but...
Oh, okay, all right.
So for me it was great. I was doing drugs, drinking,
Really?
gambling, and...
That's amazing because I find that hard. So you're out smoking cocaine, gambling, so it's not a sex
And it was
thing.
blackjack.
There's not a sex drug for you.
Well, after when you went home.
Okay.
But, I did more. But,
Okay.
I had really good gambling teachers. I had
Oh, really?
Ruben
Oh, he's those.
was taught me how to play blackjack and craps.
I want to know the secret after. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there any secrets?
there's no secret.
It's too long for the secret. Yeah.
Look, one time, he and Ruben came into town to Las Vegas, and he and Ralph and I went out to dinner, and then we went to Caesars and we were gambling, and Ruben had to go use the bathroom, and he said to me, "Bet $2 for me," and I was like, $2. I was like, because we were at like a $25 table or something. And he went, "No, $200 a hand." I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I could do it. Oh, what if I lose money?" He goes, "Then you lose the money." I went, "Okay." So it was great to have somebody teach you using their money that they didn't care if you lost.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, that's because it really sucks losing money.
Oh, so bad.
Oh, you lost some, huh?
Oh, so bad. But yeah, no, I had fun. I know some of the girls I talked to now that were like Christy Canyon and Tori Wells. I was just with both of them the other night, and we were talking about
Tori Wells. Oh, cool.
I was going to bring her with me today as a surprise for you, but she's on her way up to Santa Barbara.
Oh, cool.
I talked to her on my way over.
Good. I'm gonna call her up on the phone and have her get down here. Will she come?
She's in Santa Barbara.
No, not today.
Oh, will she come?
Yeah.
I bet she will.
All right, cool.
She's so we were and we were saying how great the business was and how much fun they had, and that they were they were there at like the prime time of the industry.
Is that what you think?
I do. I think
that was 86, 87, 88?
They were dancing. That's when they did week-long features, and they would make a ton of money dancing.
Oh, yeah.
And then some people like Christy saved her money and bought a house and invested her money, and there's some people like Tori went on vacations.
That's fun.
Yeah, and so everybody uses their money differently.
Yeah.
But we were talking about how different it is now, that it's not, the girls don't seem like they're having as much fun as the girls used to.
I'm not around, but it looks like everything's too money oriented. The love, where's the love?
Well, remember the girls, so before the group that you were in, the girls before that, like Annette Haven and I can't even think of any, I don't know why I just thought of her.
Candid Royal or
Right,
Seika.
right.
Or,
Okay, all of them. They did it because they loved the sex. It was all about the sex for them. The next group, it was more about the money for them and less about the sex.
Which group is that? The group?
Your group.
My group is more about the money?
Your group was more about the money. Like there were times, that, we were in, it must have not been the time you were in Hawaii. It was the first time that we went, and I forget, we took some girl with us, and she was supposed to do a DP. And we worked, you negotiate all your rates and everything ahead of time. And we're in Hawaii, and she suddenly decided that she wanted more money to do the same thing, to do what she was going to do anyway. And they came to me and told me, and you can only imagine. You can only imagine how lovely I was when they told me that. So she came to me and she said, "I want more money." And I said, "You know what?" I said, "You're going home." I said, "I changed your flight. You're going home today. You're not holding me hostage." I got another girl to do it for the same amount of money, and it was way better. Yeah. That's the stuff. That kind of stuff. It was more about money then. It wasn't about your word, and it wasn't about the fun you were going to have, and it wasn't like being like on a beach in Hawaii, and
fun. Yeah.
None of that. It wasn't about that.
You sure that's probably a little bit after my time? You think? Because I came in the '80s. I came in the late '80s,
But you were still around. You were still around in the '90s.
Oh yeah, no, I was okay.
Yeah, it was probably late '90s. I mean, you were still around, but you could sort of see a weird shift, and now it's really strange now, because now the girls love sex, and they love money. So now it's about both of them for them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like some of the new girls.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're.
Wow.
Well, look at the progression of content over the years. I mean, our girls were like, you know, no, we don't do anal.
Or guess who else I had on here? Who's
Oh no, who?
Brianna.
Banks?
Yeah, I love her.
Okay,
She's sweet.
me too.
But she's the girl who did do.
Right, she did. Okay, but I'm talking about the girls before her. They were like the Christie girls. They were. We don't do anal. Then the Brianna group came around and it was like, you have to do anal. And then there were the ones that were, you know, we don't work with black guys, and it was like, and then the next group is like, seriously? I mean, you're gonna not be racist? And they were like, no, we'll work with it. Things changed. It was weird little things that changed. You know, it was weird. I think you and I have had the conversation that girls would say to me, if I asked them to work with somebody that they hadn't worked with before, and they would say, well, I don't really know him, so I'll just give him a blowjob. And I'd be like, so you'd rather have his dick in your mouth because well, that's closer to your face. That is your face. I just never understood that. But they all had weird rules. And so we abided by them because that's what we did.
Oh, that's some weird ideas out there sometimes, right?
And then the last group of girls came, and those girls did everything. And it was great. It was great for us because, you know, the movies were, during that time, the movies were at that level where the girls had no choice. They would not have been able to, don't make me say, stay relevant if they had only done, you know, boy-girl.
Yeah, no way. That's
stupid sex. Boy-girl, stupid missionary sex. Or girl-girl, stupid sex.
Yeah.
You know, you have to, if you're going to do girl-girl, then you need to have a bunch of toys involved. And if you need to, you know, this is the conversations I'd have with them. Well, I'll do anal with a toy.
Like, what's it?
Okay. Okay. And then next would be, I'll do anal with a strap on. I'd be like, okay. And in my head, I'm thinking, one more step to go, man. One more step and we're there. One more step and we're there.
Next week.
Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
It's very strange, the mentality, right? But you know,
it's a strange business. It's a strange business, and we have things in our industry that no other industry has. Like stuff like this. Or like when everybody used to go to San Francisco to work for that one company and come back with chlamydia. Remember that? Remember that?
No.
The Rosebud. Remember everybody?
I was always there. I never got chlamydia.
Everybody.
No, come on.
I swear to God, we wouldn't be able to.
That's my boy, Alex DeRenzi.
We literally wouldn't be able to shoot people for 5 days while they were on their antibiotics. People came back.
I never got chlamydia.
Well, I don't know how you didn't, but everybody else did.
A pretty clean system, but yeah.
Everybody.
Really? Wow, that is crazy. I never ever heard of that. I mean, Mark and Tom and Chet and Al.
Every time.
You know, everybody's there.
Every time they came home.
Come on. Wow, are you sure?
Positive.
Wow, I was there on every trip. That's a trip. I mean, Alex,
as soon as they would,
without me.
As soon as they would say, we're going to San Francisco for 3 days, I'd be like, oh, shit.
Really? That is a trip. Wow. I never got anything.
But other industries don't have those kind of issues. Nor do other industries say the word like masturbate 1,000 times a day. You know?
Oh, yeah. But you know, our business,
Fun.
unbelievable. I believe. You know.
It's fun. It's
incredible.
It's fun. Look, even the changes that are coming now, you know, this last year has been really difficult not working, but now that, you know, we're going to start this new thing, and it's like I feel the excitement's coming back.
Oh, you get your blood pumping?
Because I know that this is something that I can for sure do, and Kelly can do a great job of both. Girls trust us. That's the first thing. And we know how to, you know, I worked with publicists. I worked in marketing and promotion. And Kelly owned Penthouse. I mean, so
Kelly,
we have...
Yeah. For people who don't know Kelly Holland is, I think, really the first female director that ever...
For us.
For you, that ever really accomplished something of a name and all kinds of stuff.
She worked for us. She shot for us for 7 years.
And probably got best film before probably won awards. Probably, I'm guessing.
I imagine she was
strong. Yeah.
She was the first. She'll tell you that story. She doesn't. I got into the business because of Marci.
Oh yeah? No.
Thank you so much.
And she was kind of sexy because she used to shoot me sometimes. I'll be looking at the corner of my eye.
She's great.
Careful because
Yeah.
Daddy here will spank you. Anyways, that's like over 20 years ago.
I am so telling her that. No, she's great, and that's the thing. And we're alike. You know, we're about the same age. We've been in the business for a long time. We've seen all the changes.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen a change on both sides. So you know, we can. Plus, I don't like seeing the newer girls being taken advantage of by people that really don't want to help them make their own name, just want to use them up by shooting them over and having them do so.
Yeah,
I'm always on the side of the performer.
Hey, Vivid made a lot of girls a lot of money. That's a fact. You know, being signed to Vivid Video, being a contract girl for Vivid Video is similar, in my opinion, of being signed to Playboy, being a Playmate. I mean, it's almost at that status, not all the way there, but very close to that status, especially in the adult business, is the same.
Yeah.
And you know, porno, you know, so yeah, I mean, Steve and you and whoever else made a lot of girls a lot of money and status.
And the girls trusted us, and they wanted to stay as long as we would let them. So, you know, which is very rare in, I think, any industry.
Oh yeah,
But-
nice.
You know,
I mean, faces, you know.
but how many times can you say, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful"?
Yeah.
I say it in my sleep.
Hey, so here's a story. Okay, I know a lot of information. You know,
I know you do.
as people don't know, because I have a very good memory.
Well, I used to have one, and then I turned 60.
Really? Oh. So, Steve used to work for Sidney Newkirk.
Kneekirk.
Before he
Cal Vista.
started his own company, Cal Vista.
Yep.
Sidney is a pretty successful, pretty intelligent person for sure. Pretty rough, I think.
Just saw him not that long
Sidney?
ago.
Wow. No,
In an
kidding.
elevator at a doctor's office.
No shit.
I looked at him, I went,
Still
"Sidney?"
alive.
And he went, "Yes." And I went, and he just looked at me, I went, "Marci Hirsch." And he just, you could see it like going through his head until all of a sudden it stopped on. And he was like, "Oh my God."
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, but Steve used to work for him.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that Steve didn't like him that much or something. Is that true or
No,
false?
no, Stephen always got along with him.
Oh, yeah?
Always.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Look, Stephen went to work for him, and that's really where he honed his skills as a salesman. Or really was working for Sydney.
So he sold for Sidney?
Mm-hmm. As a salesman there.
And Sidney's a rough character.
And Sydney and my dad had done business together. So we had known, our family knew Sydney and his wife at the time. So years later, when Stephen went to work for him, he treated Stephen like he worked with him like he was his
Son?
son, or you know.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah.
Sidney liked Stephen a lot.
Yeah, and Stephen liked him, and Stephen always appreciated everything that Sydney did for him. That gave him the opportunity to learn how to be successful in that business. And then when Stephen left, then he took it a step further. Step further.
Cal Vista was a pretty successful company,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. But Stephen, of course, is a lot more successful. So that's where Stephen learned the end of the skills.
Plus, then he also, and he met all the distributors, and so that's when he started meeting everybody, and he knew everybody, and it's contacts. It's all about your contacts.
It's a trip, right? It is what you know, but in this business, in those days, it's who you know.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. For sure it is.
So when did you start? When did Steve start, Vivid?
1984, I think.
4?
I'm going to say 84 or 89. It was one of the two. I think it was 84.
And so had anything to do with, did PT have anything to do with it?
Not at the very beginning. The first movie they shot was Ginger.
So Ginger was a contract. girl. Ginger Lynn?
Yes. I don't know if she was under contract for the first movie. I wasn't there then. But then he put her under contract, and then she was on the boxes of all of the Vivid movies.
Did you know her then?
I knew her sort of later on.
later? After the 80s or during the 80s?
I knew her, well, let me think about that. I didn't know her when she was shooting all the stuff for Vivid. I knew her a few years later. She was still shooting, but she was also doing some mainstream stuff.
Oh, so in the 80s.
Yeah, so, I mean, still, she goes to some of the Exoticas. I see her there.
Was she cool in those days? She was a big star.
She was a huge star.
Huge star.
Yeah.
But
She was fine with me because, at that point, I didn't work in the business and I was just Steven's sister, so
okay.
there's no reason for her not to be nice to me.
Right. And Steve's nice. I mean, people are nice. People like each other, especially if you're doing business and everybody's
Helps.
doing good.
It helps for people to like each other.
Right, and do business, so together you're, and good business. So, when I remember Ginger, because I never worked with her. I just remember seeing her in the movies, She was a big star, hearing her name a lot, you know what I mean? But would you think that she was at the same level of Jenna in those days, or Jenna just was so global?
No, she was the Jenna of those days.
She was the Jenna.
For sure. She traveled, she traveled around the world. Always first class, always 4-star hotels, always in limos, always,
Really?
yeah.
Alright.
She was.
She had it going on.
She was the first, really, she was the first. I would say Seika was the first real superstar, and then I think Ginger was probably the next.
And then 90s came Jenna. Well, Savannah was on her way, kind of, but then she kind of,
Savannah,
just plain
That's Savannah.
Savannah. Yeah,
that's Savannah.
that's Savannah. Yeah, she was on her way. I mean, she was pretty popular.
Very popular.
People loved her. She was on contract with you guys.
Yep.
I like Savannah's very cool with me.
Right before I started working for Vivid.
Oh, okay. So you didn't get to see it.
Nancy Pera, who was her manager, worked for Vivid, and then Steven and Nancy had a falling out, and I said to him, I was looking to change jobs, and I said, do you think I could do that job? 5 weeks later, I was doing it.
What exactly is that job description?
Well, what I did say is I don't want to be a babysitter because I have 2 young kids, so I can't go to work and be a babysitter and go home and be a babysitter.
Because you already knew that it might be that way.
Yes. Well, because I heard Steven dealing with the girls.
Okay.
And he said he was going to continue to deal with the girls.
Oh my God.
And that lasted for 6 months. What I started doing really was working, creating product for Adam and Eve. I would go to North Carolina and talk to them, and we would come up with ideas, and then go back to the office and put it all together and have them edit it and such. So that was really my first thing. And then I started working at the trade shows, and
Oh wow.
and then it all expanded into like a giant's. Oh, by the way, you take care of the girls now.
Did you do some production at all?
I worked on sets when I first started. Working on at Vivid and working on sets, I would go to the set with the checkbook, and at the end of the day, I would write people checks. And
Yeah, I think you probably wrote me some checks.
I'm sure I did.
Yeah, I think I remember way back. Yeah.
like at the Milton Ingley studio. I can't remember what it's called. Remember that studio?
Yeah, over there in Magnolia?
Yes.
North Hollywood?
Yeah, that studio, and Springboard and
San Fernando Road?
and Satsuma. Remember that was that. It was in North Hollywood. Also, it was kind of down an alley, and it was like an industrial thing, and one whole side was a studio.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. I don't know if I what's that one.
And then Track Tech, of course.
Of course, yeah. So you were working with Adam and Eve. That guy that owns it, Phil Harvey, seems like a very intelligent, strong, good guy or something.
Unbelievable. He's unbelievable. He's really. Adam and Eve started when he was in college doing his thesis on overpopulation, and started giving out condoms, and that's how Adam and Eve came into existence.
And that's in the 60s? Or what was that?
Oh no, way before that. Phil's probably.
No, he started in the 60s.
He started when he was in college.
Yeah, but the 1960s probably, right?
Maybe.
I think so. But I mean, so he's incredible.
So he was born in the 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe late 50s, early 60s.
Wow, really?
Yep, and that's how Adam and Eve started, because he was concerned about overpopulation.
Really? Interesting.
He lives in D.C. Even though Adam and Eve's in North Carolina, he lives in D.C. and he's, very political, and he's so smart and so nice. Just such a nice man. Just a nice man.
I mean, look what he created. Unbelievable. Huh?
Unbelievable. And where they're located now, the building that they built there,
North Carolina,
in Hillsborough, they went through. And the city didn't want them building there. And
all that money they brought too?
Didn't care. They did not want them there. And it was years of lawsuits and court dates.
Wow. You don't want to mess with him because he'll beat you. He wins.
Well, he won.
Court cases. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. And
If you want to do a court case with Phil Harvey, prepare to lose.
They didn't care that he was Phil Harvey. They cared that they were bringing porn into their community. It's North Carolina.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Anyways, I don't know much about him. How tall is he?
Phil?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it.
What's his makeup?
He's not that tall, but well, let me just say this. I'm a really bad judge of that because, I'm 5'2", and so anybody is tall to me. Most people seem tall to me. I would say he was maybe 5'10", maybe, but thin. Just he was always older. But he would, when I would go there sometimes, they would say, Phil would like to see you in his office. And I'd go up there and he'd just want to, how things going, how's business, what's new, what are you guys working on that's new? And
Really?
yeah, he was, thank you for coming here and spending time with us. First it was Steve and I both did it together, and then I started going by myself. I'd fly on Tuesday, I would work there Wednesday, Thursday, half a day on Friday, and fly home on Friday.
Really? Wow. That's pretty cool.
It was great. And I made a lot of friends there. I still see, if I go to AVN show in January, I still see the people there that I used to work with.
Is that Frank still there with him?
Yeah.
And what's the other girl's name?
Sharon.
Sharon. Still there?
And now we all have grandchildren.
Oh, yeah?
The three of us all have grandchildren. I remember when Sharon had her last son, and now we all have grandchildren.
Wow. Huh.
I've known them for a long time.
Kind of spooky, huh?
There was a woman who worked there when I first got Mary Gates. That the first time we were going, Stephen said to me, "Oh, by the way, she's the smartest woman in business I've ever met." And I was like, "Well, that's just great. Don't make it any worse for me. Now I have to have that in my head." And she and I became really, really close friends. And she was sick and passed away years ago.
Oh.
And Christian man and I we found out on a Thursday morning, and we were on a plane Thursday night to North Carolina. That's the kind of relationships that we had with them. I knew her sons. We went to the North Carolina State Fair.
Oh, yeah? Well,
I went all the rides with her son and stuff. Yeah, it was fun. Things are different now. Now it has to really be all about business because
the love is gone.
and everything is so spread out that it's not. When I used to do interviews a long time ago, people would say to me all the time, I've never interviewed people in an industry where everybody's friends. Nobody really says anything bad about anybody else. And I said, because if we're not our friends, who will be our friends? We're the only friends we have. Nobody else wants to be our friends. At that time, it was true. It's totally different now. Now people, they talk shit about each other, and they're, it's not like us against them. It used to be us against them. Now it's
Everybody for themselves.
pretty much.
But you know what? There's the old statement. I brought this up before. And it applies even more today because the social media lets everybody into their life, and the internet, so so much information about somebody. And remember the old saying, familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah, it's the truth.
And people get jealous, envious, and no matter how hard somebody worked.
And I said this for years, the reason that girls that were working at the time, that were current performers, couldn't be friends with other girls, it's because they're all too needy. I need you to be there for me, but I need you to be there for me, but I need, it was one of those kind of things. So they were friends, surface friends, but not like friends. It's not like a friend that you could call and say, I need a ride to the doctor's office, because, that's too much for a friend.
Well, time is money today, so.
But it was, they couldn't, too needy. Everybody was just, at that time, too needy. Not as needy anymore. A little more savvy than before.
Information is everywhere. It's a trip, really, right?
Yes, but you have to actually access the information and read it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's...
Well, you might do a lot of research, possibly.